Mvita. Today's topic is before modern tanks, there were tanks. This one is dedicated to the circumcision ceremony going on in Western Bungoma. So for that reason, to celebrate the circumcision, Imbalu season, Imbalu ceremonies, I wish to start the way I used to start. From Bungoma, Gongwa, Monbasa, Mvita. Topic, before modern tanks, there were tanks. It's very interesting when we talk of tanks. The tanks are the backbone of ground battle. In fact, when an invasion is done, tanks do the fighting, the infantry do the supporting of the tanks, but tanks carry out a major impact in the effect of war. When you conquer a ground, you cover the ground and put tanks to cover the ground. This is an interesting thing. It reminds me in history when the British discovered the tanks. Many do not know that the British Army was the one that first came up with tanks in the First World War. And because this was a secret discovery, they hid it under the name tanks. The British would not tell people what was happening. Many people would be asked, what's happening? And then they would say, we are building water tanks. That's how those battle vehicles got the name tanks. In their first appearance in the battleground, they were a devastation to the forces of the enemy. Because here was a machine you could not shoot in. The bullet could not penetrate. It came straight to you with machine guns and cannons blaring. If it came near the infantry position, it ran over you. It would run over small bushes and small trees. So it was something almost impossible until they discovered explosives that you would put within the rolling wheels to make it stop. That's when now they started having a game changer. But the enemies also moved quickly and built tanks. That was the British and the Germans and whatever, those, the Allied, the First World War forces. And the Germans began the unit of tanks, Panthers. And on the wars that went on, people fought using tanks. And that's why I'm bringing in this idea of circumcision, Imbalu session. That time, before the British came up with the tanks, what inspired the British? The Romans had a collaborator unit, a unit that carried a carriage, armored horses, and armored soldiers. The ballista was the long-range weapon by that time of the Romans. And they would move with this horse that could not be put down in the battlefield. It was fast, it would carry heavy artillery. Their main target was to pick key targets in the battlefield. They will hit the commanders, they will hit valued people whom they knew when they went down, there was confusion in the army. They would also hit the battalions to cause devastation. They had very devastating effects because a ballista bolt would go through a person and another person. It would be able to get you before you could be able to fire your weapons, because the other weapons do not have the range of the ballista. That's, by the way, where we got the name for the ballistic missile, a missile that goes like a ballista. And those battalions, the Armored Courage Battalion, are the ones that brought the idea of an armored vehicle in the battlefield. This was a great invention. Many of us do not know that before the tanks were there. The Romans had tanks. And I told you this one was copied from the armored division when they fought the Persians. The Persians had beaten them with armored soldiers. So the Romans were very versatile to the situation. When they went back, they also started having armored soldiers, and later introduced tanks. Not only the horse would move with a soldier, but also they would have a carriage with two soldiers who would be able to operate this ballista out of harm's way. In fact, the soldiers did not need another protection. The armor, metal armor they had, was all the protection they went with. It was very difficult even for a ballista from the opposite side to be able to penetrate. Why am I bringing this? There was a time when I was saying, wake up, wake up. Oh God, thank you God. People are doing things underground. I love that. Kenyans are very good. The youth, there was a display of what the youth were doing, and today I've been watching TV and I've seen something. 100 #75 hack, something like that. And I've enjoyed what the youths are saying. They're talking of great things in the diaspora, things all over those places. That is the way to go. In fact, that is the vision of South Korea, the Korean vision. But I have enjoyed. They have come with great ideas. But as an old man who has been here for some time, I would also like to make some little contribution of mine based on the same thing. We have grown. We have grown, advancing and retrogressing at the same time. That is very, very, very interesting. That we've made steps ahead and sometimes made steps backwards. The way forward is a combination of the two. The very modern technology and an accomplishment of other technologies within our system. Yes, we should look for the external markets that the youths are talking about. The technologies, very good things, because by now we could not even be doing some of the things there was a time when we were told the fiber would be over. It's good that people are thinking of completing the fiber cable and whatever so that we go IT. I also felt good that I had people were looking for old computers and going to schools, and I remembered we had a computer program that was supposed to proceed on. I don't know what happened already. In fact, we could be miles ahead. That's why I'm saying we have been moving forward and retrogressing. We should now carry on giving our ideas so that whoever wins the election hits the ground running. Hits the ground running, because we've had advances and retreats. We go sometimes 3 steps and then we find we have come back 1 step. We could be further than where we are. So we're supposed to think of these ideas. Please, Kenyans, thank you for waking up. Let's wake up. Bring from the diaspora, bring from everywhere, bring everything imaginative, even what we think of futuristic, what may not even be existing, bring it all on board. So that when they put everything, we can be able to move systematically up to the very year that it was said. Well, I'm saying this because when the government began, by now we were supposed to be out of poverty. They are talked of fighting illiteracy. Illiteracy, we are almost out. Sickness in and out, but we are almost going out. But poverty, we've not done very well. So with organized planning, when those things come, and people hit the ground running, because the other time when governments change positions, there's always that saying that when that government left, all the money had been swept from the treasury. Whoever comes, if it's the present government or whoever comes, I hope we shall not have that song. So that again, everybody says we are beginning from square one. I hope the progress that has been made, because I saw the economy thing, I've also had the dollar thing where we are balancing. I've had many things that have been put forward. That is good. That is progress. If we can keep with that pace, with that urge to be greater than what we are, Kenyans, we are there. We are there. Give your contribution. I love what I've seen. That's why I said it's always good when you are talking of this. We think of the traditional development that we have made up to here and what we add on. That's why I was talking of Imbalu session. This is a circumcision session. We have started circumcision in our advancement, circumcision in our thinking, circumcision in the way we shall elect our leaders. Do not only concentrate on giving the views, but also look who are going to make those views be realized. Start from your MCA. MPs, do not forget those, because soon they will be registering. And if you had ideas, you had people who you thought are capable, and you are not convinced them, once the registration ends, that is the end. So look at those people who are important. Let them operate from the ground, wherever, if it is operating as MCA operating, have your teams ready. Let them register, so that when we issue these ideas, when we go for election, we know we have capable teams to make our dreams a reality. I already see Kenya in bliss. That's my take for now.